Our next topic was given to us by patron Jerome Rosen. He wants you to talk about Bernie Sanders having dinner with Ilhan Omar and expressing his solidarity with her.
I love that. Now, let's talk about this on two angles. Both things are true. People hit me on this, and you must understand how I think about this stuff. I don't look at the world as being specifically one way. I look at the world often as being multiple things at once. Meaning, I don't think human beings function purely in an individual pursuit. I think they function, they have emotional drives. And even when they're doing things that are necessarily good, there may be things underlying that just from the emotional standpoint of, this is what you need. Mm-hmm. I think Sanders definitely wanted to show Ilhan support. In the same way he tried to show her support early on when they started attacking her in those kind of vitriolic attacks. But this is campaign season also. And I don't necessarily think he was doing this entirely for the campaign. I do think...
Can I say one thing?
Go for it.
Because when I saw this and when somebody else commented on it, or when I saw someone else comment on it, they were talking about what do you think about Bernie having dinner with Ilhan after all the Trump rally stuff? Like, he jumped on the Ilhan bandwagon after the Trump rally.
That's but that wasn't after. Right, he was there.
Right, what happened was he was already having dinner with Ilhan the night of the rally when they heard about the chanting. So he was already throwing support behind her when that happened. The
picture that you're about to see took place while the rally was taking place. Let's understand
This is when they got the news.
This is when they got the news
of the rally.
Now, here's the catch. Bernie Sanders is a politician. And like any other politician, Ilhan Omar is being viciously attacked. He was being viciously attacked, and Sanders went to give support. This goes in two ways. He's giving her support because he's giving her support. He understands that this vitriolic attack, as a politician, he understands where she's coming from. It's nasty. He's trying to show her support. He's Jewish. They've called her anti-Semitic. He's showing her solidarity. However, it would be insane to believe that he's not there to some degree and want this very picture. That this very picture wasn't an amazing campaign picture that you were going to use for your campaign. And of course, that's exactly what he ended up doing.
Can we go to this?
Right. So he's fundraising off of this picture. Now, initially, when I first saw this, it was fundraising specifically off of this picture for him. Eventually, it became both. Ilhan Omar was taunted with racist chants at Trump rally last night. Bernie wants to do all he can to keep her in Congress. You can read his note below. Split a contribution between our campaigns now to send an unmistakable message against Trump's racism. Now, initially, it is fair if you criticize and say, okay, he was using this as a campaign thing. But again, what do you expect them to do?
Position.
Well, I mean,
you have a job. You're running for not just you're a politician and this is your job, but you are running for office.
People act as if these guys
with 22 other people
are not I think part of the hardest thing about being a human being is that we have expectations of people that we don't have for ourselves. And that if we were in those situations, pretending as if we do something different, like we are somehow a different operating system than them, and they are in that particular environment and they are doing something that you personally wouldn't do. Nonsense. The fact that these people act in this way and that most act in this way means the incentives are for them to act that way. Otherwise, they would not be acting in these ways. This picture is put out in a show of solidarity. He didn't have to be there with Ilhan Omar. He went there because he wanted to show solidarity. He also, however, wanted a campaign thing. And it just so happens when Trump was attacking her, this was an opportunity for him to get this very picture to show his solidarity and let the American public show his solidarity. And if you wanted to give him money for that solidarity, you were welcome to do so. But he was showing her solidarity before this moment. And this picture did not take place after the campaign rally. This took while the campaign rally, meaning...
To be clear.
Yeah. So anybody who's saying, oh, he was being entirely and shamelessly opportunistic, nonsense. He was being partially opportunistic like everybody else is. He was there with her to give her support. I hope that's clear. Yeah. This didn't take place after the rally. This took place during the rally. He was already there. There's that. If you say he was being shamelessly... Partially because he's a person, and anybody would have done that in that situation. Now, you could have made the argument that, look, from a political standpoint, he should have just gave her all of the money because people would have given him money just in support. That's fair enough. You can say that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we're still talking about a person being political, and you're still talking about acting based on the picture. It means the same in this case. You can make a case that this is just more honest. He's giving her support. There were a lot of people around the country giving her support. There was a lot of support at the airport.
Happening.
Because people realize that this is so problematic.
This is such a terrible thing for the actual president of the United States
to run a campaign,
to stand and say they need to go back
to where they came from. And not just that, to use that as his campaign.
And it's directed towards
a 20-something-year-old.
Women of color, and one of them who is actually not from the United States, and she's from Africa.
And the question is why? Why? Republicans criticize America all the time. Why? Why? Why her? Why them? Why them for the criticism to go back from the country where he came from? I'm just saying, look, I know some people say, oh, I don't see the problem with that, meaning being threatening. How can you not see the problem with whipping a crowd into a fury with all of the white nationalists that have been killing people?
That's what I was going to say. Plus, there's been a history of violence at Trump rallies since 2016.
The guy who was caught trying to set that bomb, do you remember that? He was a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And the irony of it is, the guy was a useful idiot. The guy was a Trump supporter, and the guy had called in bombs threats before because they were trying to foreclose on his house. He was literally living with his mama. And the guy who foreclosed on his house was Steve Mnuchin. The guy who Trump had as secretary. Yeah. And the one who Kamala Harris let off without press.
Just real quick before we move on, 2 super chats. Thank you. Excuse me. Giovanna Liviana, thank you. Oh crap, I'm sorry, it kicked me down. Giovanna Liviana says, progressive or bust. No neoliberals, no opportunists.
Yes, agreed. But look, my only thing is, I know some of you may say, geez man, you can be really cynical. I just ask you to look at these people as human beings and look at them like you. What do you be honest with yourself when you think about, when you like dig down into your emotional core drive of any particular moment. I think what you would find is there would be things that you liked about it, there would be things that you dislike. The emotion is real. The intellectual part becomes the kind of cultural overlay over top of it, and that cultural overlay may be good or may be bad, but analyze that stuff. They're no different. In fact, not just no different, it's worse for them because all of the pressures are for them to behave in ways that self-aggrandizement. That's what they need to do to get elected. It just is what it is. My point is just be honest about it, even if it's somebody you like. Be honest about that person and the way the person acts. That's all. I'm not saying dislike them for it. I'm saying just being honest about them.
It's part of the process.
They're people. They're people.
Your
dad is just the guy. Let me just say.
Balthazar, thank you. He says, Nancy Pelosi sends her thoughts and prayers to the Omar family and all the capitalists who benefit due to her. Bernie actually cares. Thank you, Balthazar.
Yeah, he cares. I think he cares.
And
he's an empathetic guy.
Irene Burns said, and I can't find it, but she said he's trying to get more progressives in office.
He is, yes.
To keep the revolution alive,
he's
or
trying
something
to support
that
these
effect.
guys.
So yeah, he wants to see her.
Her, AOC, all of these guys. Ayana, he wants to see her succeed.
Megan Morales says, with respect, JT, Omar is in her late 30s, not her 20s.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's late 30s. She looks amazing.
Kalita said,
Black don't crack.
Kalita said she's my age, same birth year. How old are you, Kalita?
Black don't crack.
I mean, because you put it out there, so I can ask now.
She looks really good.
Oh, my birthday's in 2 weeks. Oh, I'm sorry. That's inappropriate. Never mind.
She looks good for her age. I didn't realize she was that old. I thought she was much younger. Black don't crack, man. They say I'm like 15. I'm nearly 40.
Who said that?
People do. They say it all the
What
time.
people?
People.
Kalita, 37. Okay.
Okay, 37.
So Omar's 37.
37, yeah. She looks good. She looks really
Black
good. I
don't
had no
crack.
idea. Black don't crack, man. Black don't crack. That's the one bonus of being worked like a slave forever. You get good genetics.
All right,
I don't think that's how it works. But look, shout out to Sanders for backing her, and he was backing her before this. So for the people who are overly cynical, he was backing her before this. Sanders had went out to support her a long time ago. If you look back, almost like months ago, he was sitting in support when they were calling her anti-Semitic and everything else. So I think he does care. I don't think this is entirely just overtly political.
I think that if you believe that he believes everything that he said for the last how many years,
Then he cares.
then he cares.
Then he cares.
Because he wants certain policies to come into play, and, you know, she's a
What was the name of the
progressive.
person that gave the Ilhan?
Jerome Rosen. I did say that name already.
That's the patron.
Yeah, that was the patron.
Shout out to
comment.
Jerome Rosen. Thank you, Jerome. Thank you for your support.
Trudy says politics is activism to Bernie. His goal is justice. Right.
Ish. Look, I mean, yes, politics is activism to Sanders. However, politics is also politics. And if Sanders wants to get elected, and Sanders has a much easier position in regards to politics in some respects because he's
Trudy
just
says-
telling what he believes in.
Trudy says no.
There's
Not
no
ish.
No. Okay. Sanders,
Burn, baby, burn.
yeah, whatever. I
Burn it down.
burn it
Trudy.
down. Look, Trudy, I agree with you that for Sanders, this is activism because he's just telling you what he really believes in. Like, his honest disposition is, I want Medicare for all. That's not an easy disposition. He's been having that for 40 years. That's him. And so the politics, yes, the policies are his. Fair enough. Yes, I agree. Those are what he believes in. However, for him to get elected goes beyond policy. Now, his argument...
However...
Wait. His argument for a political revolution to some degree is trying to drag a lot of people into the political space to give him political capital. But Sanders needs to get elected. Meaning, when Sanders was pushing the Russiagate stuff, do you think he honestly, earnestly, fully believed all of it? Or do you think it was bull, so I need to get from point A to point B? When he turned around and started supporting Hillary Clinton, was he, like, some of this stuff is valid. Do you think that he thought he was cheated? Of course he thought he was cheated, but he wouldn't touch it. Why? Politics. He is still held by political winds. I'm sorry, I love him, but he's a politician, Trudy. This is kind of my point. Name any politician. I guarantee you the same thing is true. FDR pushing the New Deal. FDR kept blacks out of the New Deal because he wanted to get the New Deal through. Politics. Even among people you like, they're still held to political winds. Just saying. Name a person. I guarantee you the same thing will be true with him.